Γεια σας, εδώ είμαστε ξανά σε αυτόν τον υπέροχο, τον φανταστικό, τον φαντασμαγορικό, τον απίστευτο, τον αδιανόητο χώρο του tracenchase. Τώρα αν ξέχασα κάτι επιφυλάσσομαι να το προσθέσω την επόμενη φορά. Εδώ είμαστε για άλλο ένα επεισόδιο στην εκπομπή που αγαπήσατε και αγαπήσαμε στο The Show από το tracenchase. Σήμερα λοιπόν θα δούμε πως ένας άνθρωπος που άρχισε από μια θεωρούμενη κακόφημη συνοικία του LA, το Inglewood, κατάφερε να φτάσει στο Hollywood του παγκόσμιου μπάσκετ και πώς αυτός ο άνθρωπος μας αγάπησε, τον αγαπήσαμε, ρίζωσε στην πατρίδα μας, στέριωσε και εν τέλει επιστρέφει κάθε φορά με περισσότερη αγάπη από όσοι είχε όταν έφυγε. Λοιπόν, θα γνωρίσουμε έναν άνθρωπο, όπως έλεγα και προηγουμένως, που τον αγαπάμε πολύ, που μας αγαπάει πολύ, που για να χρησιμοποιήσω και ένα λογοπαίγνιο ήρθε στην Ελλάδα ως τριάρι, έγινε τεσάρι, κατέληξε πεντάρι και σε κάθε περίπτωση είναι ένα εξάρι του Λότο. Welcome back!
Thank you. It's good to be back. Always good to, you know, come to your second home and see friends and family. So it's good.
Προφανώς οι συστάσεις που περιστεύουν είναι μαζί μας ο Mike Batiste. Μας βάζει από την αρχή στο παιχνίδι λέγοντας ότι σε κάθε περίπτωση νιώθει σαν να είναι εδώ το δεύτερο σπίτι του. What's the main feeling every time you are coming back? And hopefully, either for us or for you and for us, it happens often. What's the main feeling or the main memory you have into your mind? From the glory days.
Well, the main memory is, you know, just winning all the titles. I mean, that is tattooed in your mind forever. It's a memory that will never, you know, fade away. And you know, from those titles and the years, you know, I played at Panathinaikos. You know, we created a brotherhood, a family, and a bond that exceeded beyond the playing days, you know. So, you know, when I come here, you know, I see my old teammates who are, you know, brothers to me, and, you know, we sit down and have dinner, drinks, and we reminisce sometimes, and we also talk about, you know, the present and the future. And it's great conversation. For me, it's therapeutic for me because I can't really imagine going so many years without, you know, seeing you know, people that I love inside the locker room. They see me, you know, when I was happy. They see me when I was frustrated, when I wasn't playing well or whatever. So they really saw me at my most vulnerable states, and they also saw me at my most joyful moments. So it's a bond that'll last forever.
You grew up together?
Huh? Yeah.
Like a family?
Exactly. You know,
like brothers, real brothers.
I came to Athens. I was 24 years old, a very young man. When I left Athens, I was 36 years old. So I was an old man when I left, full of knowledge, wisdom, a lot of things that I learned, you know, from being here in Greece and staying for so long. You know, you implement that in your family as well.
Do your wife, Sarah, and the kids feel this kind of special love you have for
my
our
wife,
country?
yes, she does. My kids are probably too young to remember. Of course, Mikey sees all the pictures and photos when he was a very, very young boy. You know, my daughter was born when I retired, so she doesn't really have no memories at all. She just sees all the pictures. You know, last time we brought her back here, she was, you know, super young. But now that they're getting older and they starting to understand more, you know, Mikey's 14, Sydney is 9 years old. She's turning 10 in July. Now, you know, you can bring them back here and they will understand and have their own memories of Greece and why, you know, my wife and I think it's such a special place.
Although you spent here 10 years, two different stints. You went to play for Fenerbahce one season and you came back and then it's over. How did you, there is any reason after all that you didn't become Greek? We have read Vassilis Skountis.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I guess I've been adopted into the, you know, the culture. You know, like you said, people calls me Vassilis. They don't call me by my normal name of Michael or Mike. But it's a big honor for me to come from a whole nother country, a whole nother world, and be accepted by people here. I think that's a big testament to my character, how I was raised by my mother and aunties and uncles and loved ones who took care of me and my family when we was younger. And that's how, like, I want to continue to live my life and also raise, you know, my kids the same way and pass that advice down to, like, my nieces and nephews as well.
Is there any special kind of food you like more in Greece?
I mean, not really. I mean, I like the lamb, Greek salads, you know, like everything is so fresh here. You know, it's not processed food like it is in America. You can really taste the freshness in everything here. It's very authentic. I think that's also why, you know, where I'm at now in Toronto, like working for the Raptors.
Yes, because we have there Danforth Street, which is one of the major Greek communities all over the world.
Yeah, and you know, I'm a foodie, man. I like to go out and eat and have a good time with drinks and stuff with friends and family. So, like, you know, food is one of my good things to keep me happy. And here in Greece, you know, you find good food from lamb to fish to you know, potatoes, the vegetables. Everything is wonderful to eat here. So this is good for me and my body.
Let's begin the story from the very first steps you made into basketball, but not only into basketball, into the real life. I mean, you have born in Inglewood. It's a dangerous neighborhood. I've been there sometimes, and they always say that, okay, pay attention.
In my time, yes, it's you know,
when the forum was there.
It's dangerous, yes, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, there's ways to survive. You know, of course, you know, living in LA is very populated by gang culture life. I've seen friends and family of mine go that route, and it just didn't end that way well for them. And from those lessons, I was able to stay away from temptation, even though it was always around me. You walk down the street and see it, and you also had friends doing things that they should have been doing. I just try to grab my ball and go down to the nearest basketball court and just try to play games and shoot until the street lights come on and my mother's calling me to come home. So I try to stay away as much as possible. Of course, I wasn't perfect, but majority of the time I felt like in my life I did the right things and made the right choices.
I had the opportunity, a very special opportunity, and I would like to thank you very much for this opportunity you offered me 4 years ago when it was the Black Lives Matter. And you narrated in some parts of your life, and I would like to thank you because it was not a narration, it was a real lesson of life. Did you face racism or discrimination or situations that made you stronger?
Of course, you know, but I was always taught that, you know, sticks and stones break your bones, but words shouldn't hurt. And even though it's a nasty word to, you know, be yelled at or called, you still have to put your left foot in front of the other and carry on about your day. You know, hopefully, you know, things will change soon where everybody is treated the same way. You know, in my country, we still have a lot of work to do. And, you know, hopefully one day I can help in those situations. Because I felt like I've had a very blessed life, number one, to grow up in my own culture, but also, you know, meet other people from around the world and grow up in another culture. And when you know, get love from, you know, all over the world, you want to try to present that into the world for the younger generation that's going to grow up behind us. So hopefully that time will change and we'll see a more, you know, loving world, you know.
Is somebody who pushed you to play and get involved with basketball, or it came naturally?
I think it just came naturally because, like I said, sports was a way to stay out the streets, to stay away from the guns, to stay away from the drugs, a lot of things that, you know, my friends and I were seeing when we walked to school or certain things, or even be at the park. You know, we just try to stay away from it. So basketball, football, baseball, volleyball. I swam. I played soccer. Any sport league that was at the park, we was into it just to stay out of trouble, because it was so easy to fall into those traps. Again, like you have friends who are doing those things. Sometimes they try to put you up against peer pressure and say certain things to try to, you know, make you do what they're doing. But you just stayed into the sports and tried to take it as far as you could take it.
When you dedicated to basketball, did you have a role model as a player?
Yeah, you know,
now we are in 80s, late 80s.
Yeah, so
when you were
those 80s time,
12, 15 years old.
Everybody in that time was you know, was growing up under the Lakers umbrella, you know, with Magic, Kareem, Byron Scott, Cooper, AC Green. I looked up to all those guys, and seeing those guys on TV, watching them play, watching them win every single year, it was like, man, like, this is fun. This is something I would like to try and do. I didn't know what avenue I had to go down to get to that road, but I was just like, let's just keep playing and see how far that it goes. So when it's all said and done, it's over, I can never say that I didn't try my best.
Did you meet any of them, some of them in person?
No, I didn't. You know, like my dad had a mechanic shop right down the street from the Forum, and sometimes he would send us to the store to buy, you know, his cigarettes or a racing for him, because he used to love watching horse races when we was younger. And I was telling a story earlier that me and my brother would go to the store, we would walk out on the corner, and sometimes you can hear the roar of the crowd coming out of the Forum. And me and my brother would sit there on the corner and just listen to it for like, you know, 30, 40 minutes before like my dad like is walking around the corner trying to find us, and then we're in trouble. But just listening and hearing those things only gave us an imagination and a vision of what it could be.
Not even Byron Scott, who finished his career playing for Panathinaikos.
Oh, of course. I looked up to Byron Scott as well. You know, he grew up in Inglewood, California, went to Morningside High School. So I have pretty much a first-class education on, you know, Byron Scott, and how he grew up pretty much in the same neighborhood, and he found a way to get out of it. So I did have a lot of role models. Magic Johnson was my main role model, but Byron Scott was probably the one who I really looked at more, just because we came from the same neighborhood. We took the same routes. He went to Arizona State before me. I went to Arizona State after him, and then, you know, playing here at Panathinaikos in '96, I believe. And then
97, 98.
Yeah, and so, and then, you know, years later, I am here. So it's a great path to follow.
It's Wilson High School in Long Beach, and then it's Long Beach, the first collegiate stint, and then it's Arizona State. You went undrafted.
Yes.
And then you started to play professionally. Let's talk about your ambition and your target back then. You would like to, you tried to play in NBA, and you did it.
And I did. You know, coming out of college, I was supposed to get drafted, but, you know, I went to the pre-draft camp in Chicago, and I tore my ACL. You know, it's something I didn't want to happen. And, you know, when your body doesn't hold up, mentally, you're just left struggling to answer yourself all these questions, because you felt like, you know, you worked out and you did everything that you could to, you know, for your body to react. And it just, you know, adversity hit me in a very, very bad way, because I felt like all my dreams were shattered of not being drafted and being in the NBA. But, you know, I had to figure it out from there, as I've always done, you know, in life. I had to have the surgery. I had to sit out for a whole year and rehab, and had to trust my body again. That was very, very difficult. But once I got out of the rehab process and I was able to, you know, run, jump, and cut, I started to see the progress of my body getting back to where it was, and that I can trust it again when I do certain moves.
In 2000, when you first came to Europe to play for Charleroi in Belgium, did you imagine that your future should be in Europe?
I didn't know at the point.
Okay, afterwards you played for Biella in Italy, then you spent the season with the Memphis Grizzlies, and then you came here in Greece. to play for Panathinaikos, but it was a perspective that you should be back after the NBA season?
I always just left that door open. And, you know, I started my career in Europe, so I didn't want to shut the door, if not coming back if that was possible. I love the game of basketball. And I've always said, you know, like, you know, I don't work for basketball. The game works for me. And wherever the game will take me, you know, I'll look into it. And if it's a good situation, I'm going to honor the commitment and do my best. But going to Charleroi was a big stepping stone for me. The league in itself wasn't as highly competitive, but coming off the ACL surgery, I had to find a league to play and trust my body again and mentally put myself in situations to where I do a certain move. I'm like, okay, I can do this again and again and again and again. So that year was very, very critical for me, for my body. The next year I go to Italy is where I start to see the progress of my game evolving.
Mm. How was the first approach made by Panathinaikos to you? Who called you? Who contacted you?
Dimitri Tudis contacted me. We had a pretty good conversation of the team, the history, the tradition, and everything.
By phone or?
By phone.
By phone.
And of course, I'm on the other end. I really don't know what's really going on. You know, he's making this sell pitch, to me. And then, you know, my agent, Nick Latzos, who was my agent and, you know, and still a good friend of mine. He was my agent in Belgium, my agent in Italy. We started corresponding with one another. He started giving me more intel on the country. I was going to like the libraries in America. I would go get like a book or CD, just look at pictures just to see like if I make this choice, what am I about to get involved in? And I try to do everything that I could to try to get me comfortable. And once I made the choice to come here, it was difficult because I still had aspirations of playing in the NBA. But at the end of the day, this is a business, and I understood that from a very early age. And I made the choice to come here, and the rest is history.
It is summer of 2003.
Mm-hmm.
So you accepted the offer of Panathinaikos, and you first met Zeljko Obradovic.
Mm-hmm.
And
crazy, it was just a different experience.
Did you have any idea or any data, any information who the guy is?
Not at all. Like, cause I only corresponded with Itudis, so. Like, even when I got to my first practice and Itudis is running majority of the practice, I'm sitting around like where's Obradovic? And the whole time he's in the corner, he's in the corner watching practice the whole time. And then, later on that day in practice, I finally found out who Coach really was and how he demanded certain things. I wasn't used to that at first because of the NBA, the freedom that you have. And here things are a little bit more demanding. So I had to adjust very quickly. It was not easy. It was a lot of growing pains with that because, my first year here, I struggled with injuries, the ankle injury, hamstring injury. It was just very difficult for me. But, I stuck with it. I finished the season out and, I went back into the summer trying to find another NBA deal. Things were getting dragged out into the summer and I was just like, you know what, forget it. I'd rather go back to Athens with the same teammates, coaches, the same offensive plays because I know what I'm about to get into at this point. So, coming back the second year was good for me. And again, my game starts to take off.
Is it true that in summer 2004, you described how the situation was, that you asked the club to cut your contract, but to give you another chance?
Yeah, but at that time, again after the first season, I kind of threw some blinders on and was like, I don't want to go back there. Like I didn't feel that I played good enough to even show my face over here. That was the way that I criticized myself. I was just very hard on myself as a player. And again, once things didn't work out in the States, my agent called Panathinaikos, was like, look, Mike wants to come back and this and that. And this is like, well, this all the money that we have. You know, either take it or leave it. And it was, you know, something I had to sit back and think about because I was getting less money at that point. But I said, you know what, I'm gonna, you know, take a chance on myself, risk it all, and I'm gonna go over there and prove that I am worth more than the contract that was given to me. And also I had to prove to my body as well, because like I said, I was hurt with the ankles and hamstring. I wanted to give my body the best chance that I could to succeed. And I remember going into that summer, I really, really worked hard on my body, and it paid off.
Is it tough for a player to transform his role from play 3 to play 5?
Yeah, it's different responsibilities when you're defending on the perimeter.
It is not
very
different responsibility. It doesn't happen very often for a player who's playing outside and shooting from threes.
Not really. I mean, now, everybody is doing it. But before, it was like you had your position, this was your responsibility. And then you move down to his position, and it's like, okay, that responsibility changes. So I'm just like, Jesus, it's like the communication is different, you know, when you're going from a 3 to a 4-man, and then when you go down to the center, that communication is totally different because you have to command and anchor the whole defense. You have to communicate when your guard is about to get screened from the left or right side. So that took an adjustment period for me, but in my mind, I was just like, put me out there on the floor and I'll find a way to make an impact. And game by game, practice by practice, I started to feel comfortable into this role. And even Zeljko Obradovic will pull me to the side like, how are you doing, you know, with this role? Because maybe if I wasn't succeeding with that, maybe they'd have found something else for me to succeed at. But I said, no, I'm fine. I'm going to use my quickness and my strength in different areas, and we'll figure it out. And that's what happens for, you know, the 8-9 years, you know, I was here with Batiste and Obradovic.
The philosophy of Zeljko Obradovic and the whole culture of Panathinaikos was based into the pick and roll. There is a pick and roll science there, and still Obradovic played the same thing, and most of the teams play this kind of pick and roll. How did you manage, and how did you adjust yourself and your playing to this kind of offensive system?
You know, it's a matter of studying, you know, number
because
one.
Sometimes Obradovic sent out players that were not able to play pick and roll, like the late Kenyon Jones. And he cut his contract because he was not so effective to this kind of system.
Well, like I said, I did a lot of studying, you know, and watching games is natural to me.
What's a game of Utah Jazz, maybe?
You know, and like, if you're a fan of the game, like, you can watch, I feel like, any kind of basketball game that's formatted. But I had a unbelievable, you know, teammate in Daryl Middleton who was playing the 5 position before me. I call him my Jedi master because he taught me a lot. He taught me about, you know, how to seal into the paint, how to fight for your different angles inside the paint. And that was very, very good education for me. And once I got that foundation from Daryl, I was able to put my skill set and talent on top of that, and it just became something very beautiful.
Which is the secret? Which is the key point for a player to be effectively pick and roll? Is to understand the game, to have good chemistry and communication with the players, because you were blessed, let's say that you were blessed to play with great point guards, like Diamantidis, like Spanis, with great guards in general, and the whole career.
You know, pick and roll was something that we relied on very heavily. Of course, like you said, you need high IQ players in those positions. So having Diamantidis and Spanis and Giannakopoulos in those positions was a luxury for a guy like me who can sprint into the screen, change the angle of screen, and once I make the contact with the defender and get off the screen very quickly and get to the rim, I mean, there was really nobody doing that in Europe at this time, and it was very, very difficult for a lot of teams to guard that. And we knew that. Even when teams will coverage and scheme to take certain things away from us, we knew that if we just, you know, played the right way and kept the game close, in the last 5 minutes, we can just run pick and roll with me, Dimitidis, and Charis, and it'll be a difficult matchup for those teams to try to stop it. But again, I really believe you need very good IQ in the pick and roll game with those two guys, and also the three guys that are surrounding the pick and roll game with the spacing and stuff.
Did you ever came close to leave Panathinaikos during your first stint? I mean, from 2003 to 2012?
I don't think it was close at all to leaving. I think I was just looking into the options that were given to me. You know, this is a business. And to not say that other teams had tried to lure me away from Panathinaikos and I didn't look into it, I will sit here and lie to you. But in my heart and my core, I knew what we had here at Panathinaikos, and I felt we was building on something. You know, after my first year, you know, we signed Dimitidis and we go directly to the Final Four in Moscow, in Russia. So that was my first experience of that. I wanted to have another taste of going there, and the only way to do that, I felt that I had to stay with this nucleus of guys that were around me. And I felt the respect that I had from my teammates and the respect that I gave to my teammates was a beautiful matchup. You know, you play with Dimitidis, Sasaris, Spanulis, these guys were, the Kudis, these guys were on their national team. 2006, they beat the USA team. So I'm sitting in the locker room with some killers, you know, and for me, to get respect from those killers in the locker room, I had to be a killer myself.
You became a killer.
There you go. So again, the mentality was matched with one another, and year by year, I knew that we was embarking on something special.
Was any special reason because you choose number 8?
No, I didn't. I wanted number.
You used to wear number 8 even in the States?
No, I wanted number 24. I wore number 24 in my AAU days, high school, and college. And when I asked for it, they laughed because we only go from 4 to like 19. So I'm like, okay, well, what number can I choose? You know, so I was like, number 4. Oh, that number's taken. You know, the captain has it. Number 5 was taken. Number 6 and 7 was taken. And so when 8 was available, I was like, well, I'll take number 8 and let's go with it, you know. And now this number has been, you know, stuck with me for my lifetime now.
You won 3 EuroLeague trophies. Let's remember, go back to these days. There is any, not exactly untold story, but any special memory you keep from each of the Final Four that Panathinaikos won? I mean, the first was 2007 in Athens.
I just think
this incredible final against CSKA Moscow.
I just think the celebrations in the locker room were the most memorable. You know, they're monuments, actually, you know, because when you get to the top of the mountain from all the games, the practices, the adversity you have to go through the season, and when you're the last team standing, it's like the biggest exhale, you know, but the exhale is full of joy and excitement, and the hugs were like sincere, the smiles were sincere, the excitement was sincere. Those are the fondest memories that I have after, you know, winning the title, was being in the locker room and just celebrating with those guys, drinking champagne, toasting the trophies and stuff with one another. Those were very, very good times and things I won't forget.
2009, it's a dream team. Diamantidis, Giannakopoulos, Spanulis, Pekovic, Perperoglu, Batiste, Fotis, Hadzivretas, Nicolas, Tsatsaris, Albertis, Ketsman, Sakota, Sermantini, Verginis, at the roster of this season. It was really a dream team. Did you have this feeling?
I didn't feel it was a dream team.
That you are untouchable?
I felt that the level raised a bar one more because we just signed Sharunas. And you know about the history about Sharunas, European god, right? In terms of winning titles, whatever. You know, won in Barca, won in Maccabi, he's won everywhere. So when he was an addition to our team, I knew that it was you know, something has to happen. We have to win now, you know, and I know 07 we won, but that is in the past. And the one thing that I admired about Obradovic, he was really good at keeping us in the present. You know, a lot of players and teams that win, they want to live off the past success, whatever, which is okay. But when you're trying to go for an encore, you have to move that stuff behind you and look what's in front of you. And Obradovic did a very good job of that. But 2009 was, you know, it was a very special year because how it ended, but how it started, you know, there were some difficulties. We had to find our way, you know, who was going to run the most pick and rolls, who was going to shape the offense, this and that. Me and Pekovic had to find our relationship together, even when we played on the floor together. We had to tweak our offense a little bit because, you know, Peko was a post-up threat. So now we have a post-up threat, so we had to run post-up plays for him. We signed Drew Nicholas that summer, who was an Alfonso Ford lead and score trophy winner. He was a catch and shoot threat, so we had to implement some catch and shoot offense for him. So there were some things that we had to tweak. And when you're tweaking certain things, it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. But through the practices and through the games, we started to get better and better and better. Where we at where we needed to be? No, I don't think we was at the best place that we can be at that time, but we kept working and working and working. When we got to the month of February in that 2009 season, that's when we saw the changes happen. That's when we hit our peak. And I think we won every game in February except one. We lost Olympiacos at the buzzer. But every game, we was building confidence and confidence. Every game, the game plan was working. Every game, the ball movement was working. Every game, the pick and roll was working. The defense was working. So player by player and, you know, from the coaches as well, our confidence was just getting in the right place. So from February all the way on to the end of the season, we played some unbelievable basketball. And again, we was rewarded with another, you know, EuroLeague.
It has been a debate during the last time out that Zeljko called a few seconds before the end of the final against CSKA to foul or not to foul. Mm-hmm. Did you agree with try to play defense and not foul?
By the time Zeljko came back to the huddle, we as players had already had our minds made up to defend. Yes, there was a strategy to foul and probably go into overtime. But if you go back and watch that game, even, you know, I felt like if we'd have went in overtime, maybe that advantage goes to CSKA, right? Because the way they was coming back, we had this big lead.
Yes,
maybe 5 more minutes,
20 points.
Yeah, gives them an advantage. So we was like, listen, if we're going to win it now. If we're going to lose, we're going to lose it now. So we decided to defend. And, you know, with the trust that we had with teammates, with the trust that we had from the coaches, we all decided this is how it was going to end. And, you know, the gamble and the risk paid off. Again, I can still remember Skountis' shot going, and I can, from the look of it, I felt that it was going in. But it hits the front rim, it bounced off the back rim, back off the front rim, and again, the exhale, the scream, the joy, the excitement starts to take over, man. It's the best feeling.
And then it's the last dance, 2011 in Barcelona. Not exactly the last dance, because Panathinaikos came back to the Final Four next year in Istanbul. But when you went to Barcelona to play the Final Four, did you have this feeling of the dynasty is?
At that point, no. I mean, I knew that we was getting older.
It's not exactly that like Panathinaikos used to be.
Yeah, but I knew we was getting older in age, and pretty soon, you know, it's going to stop, right? All good things do come to an end. And as much as we would have liked to continue to play, there was going to have to be a point in time where it stopped. After 2011, I didn't think anything of it. We just won the European title. In my mind, it's like, let's do it again. But to do it again, took more of an effort because every year we won the EuroLeague title. The very next year, we didn't even make the playoffs, right? In 2008, we was eliminated from playoff contention. 2009, we win the EuroLeague title. We come back 2010, we don't make the playoffs again. So for me and other teammates of mine, I told those guys we have to get back to the Final Four to give ourselves a chance to defend what we won last year. We never did that in my time here. So getting back there was a very big accomplishment for us. And of course, it didn't go the way that we wanted. This is sports, and you have to live with that. We did the best that we could, but we lost the semifinal game to CSKA, ended up losing the third place game to Barcelona. When that happened, that's when I kind of felt, that this could be the end and it could be over.
However, when you came back to Panathinaikos after your stint with Fenerbahce, you still had the possibility, you still had the chance to play in the Final Four when you faced CSKA Moscow and you played 5 games.
It is, and even that series, game 1, we had
when Pascual played this kind of zone defense.
Yeah, we had,
and you try to score from outside and only wickets.
Yeah, well,
managed to.
When we got into that series in CSKA, I felt that the message was clear. We had to try to get game 1, especially when you're playing on the road. To try to get the first game is critical, and also it puts the team that has a home court advantage in a very difficult position. We really had tons of chances. The game 1, it slipped through our hands, and we end up losing. And then game 2, we end up losing the second game, and you're down 2-0, and that's a very big hole to climb out of in a 5-game series. But we come back to Oaxaca, we win game 3, game 4, then we go game 5 to Moscow, and we lose a difficult game. Like you said, they junked the game up, they played some zone defense, and we try to beat them from the perimeter, which is you can do at times if you really have shooting. But, we should have got the ball into the middle of the floor, to the baseline of the floor, and tried to penetrate the zone and cause a little bit more confusion. But that's neither here or there now. It's history, and you live with it.
Do you still have the voice of Obradovic into your ears? There are tough nights or tough days
sometimes. When I watch a lot of EuroLeague games, there's deep-rooted excitement and a really good nervous energy inside of me. I'm always on the edge of my seat or the couch because you've been in that environment, you've played under those type of pressures, so you know exactly what those players are going through at that moment. And, there's times where, fans sends me video on my social media sometimes, and, I watch a certain clip of myself, and of course I can hear Obradovic, his words or like whatever he was saying to me to play to the best of my ability. So yeah, it's tattooed in my mind as well. So it was good.
Is any quote, any advice, any routine that Obradovic taught to the players, and you might use it now? You are assistant coach in the NBA.
And if one thing Obradovic always stressed, if you don't have motivation, you will never be successful in life or in sport. And he used to tell us that all the time. If you without motivation, you can't win at all, even in sports and life. So that's one thing that I try to take and stand on, is to motivate and inspire. And if you're ever around me, or see me coach, like my energy is through the roof. The love is through the roof. And when players are around me, I feel that they get the energy from me through a workout. And it's really good. So yes, of course, I take a lot of things from Obradovic and implement it in, my coaching style as well.
Starting from 2016 with Brooklyn Nets, with Charlotte Hornets, Orlando Magic, Wizards, Rockets, and now the Raptors, you are a part of the NBA. Do you have any, not ambition, but do you see yourself coming back to Greece and becoming coach of Panathinaikos? Because you know the story. Every summer when Panathinaikos used to change coaches, the name of Mike Batiste is in the front page.
Yeah, listen, it's an open book, open chapter. That door is not closed. I know my position now that, you know, I'm assistant coach in the NBA. Those are going to be some rumblings and things of that nature. You know, what I'm doing now as a coach, I am preparing to be a head coach one day. And it's just a matter of time when that will happen. I have unbelievable knowledge and wisdom as a player. And over the last 10 years, you know, working with a lot of good coaches, I've gained a lot of unbelievable knowledge and wisdom as a coach as well. So, you know, when that time comes, it's, you know, I'll be ready. Of course, I'll be nervous because it'll be my first time. But through my experience and with the staff that I have behind me, we'll be fine. We'll be totally fine.
Together with Kostas Soteriou, you are a friend and a very good basketball reporter. You wrote your biography, The Story of a Champion.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a summary how a champion reacts and what is the most important point for a player to get this mentality.
It's tough, number one, but I think a champion's mindset...
Even doesn't have from his birth.
I think a champion's mindset is always, you know, it's the next play mentality, whether you do something good or something bad, especially when you do something bad, because when you make a turnover or a mistake, it can bleed and dwell into the next possession. And so by the time you get into the next offensive possession, your mind is flustered and you don't know what you're doing. So those are one things that I would really try to tell a lot of guys is to have a next play mentality. If you miss a shot, have a next shot mentality, you know, and when you have that mentality, you'll start seeing certain habits and certain difficulties in a game won't be able to phase you as much. Yes, there's a game within a game where there's going to be difficult moments. You know, a team is going on a run, you're losing momentum, whatever, but you have to stay even keel. Even for the good moments that I had, I never got outside of myself. I was like, oh, my job is done. I did the best thing. I don't have to do nothing anymore. There was another level to get to. And every game, every practice, myself and my teammates, we always try to get to that highest level. So once the game started, we knew what we're doing and we were running like a well-oiled machine, you know?
What about the owners, Giannakopoulos family? Mm-hmm. Pavlos, Thanasis, then Dimitris.
Yeah,
you lived with them so many years.
Yeah, they're a really good family, and they treated the organization like family, and that's why the bond was authentic. It wasn't made up. It wasn't scripted. All these bonds and relationships that we had were authentic, and this is the reason why these relationships will last forever. And it's also the reason why I come back and visit Athens, you know, to see my brothers. That's what I call them. They're not friends. You know, I spent a decade of my life here. And to try to wipe that out of my memory bank is not going to happen. It's going to stay with me forever. And I'm going to come back and visit Greece as many times as I can, right? It might not be every year, but anytime I can get some time, I'm going to come here and
if I'm not wrong, this is your 4th visit in 3 years.
Yeah.
At least 3rd.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I didn't come last summer. Yeah. Because of being hired with Toronto and the transition of the move and visa, and it was challenging. You know, it wasn't a simple move as like you pack up your house from Houston and you go move to Chicago, right? Super simple. But when you're crossing the border, there's a lot of paperwork and things that has to be thoroughly checked out. And with Canada and their rules, they really don't play. They're very strict. They go by the book, and you just had to, you know, honor that. But it just took a while. But once we, you know, we got settled and everything, things worked out the way that it should.
What the fans of Panathinaikos who love you and who adore you remember the most when they meet you? Any special dunk or any special moment?
I hope
because
they just remember me as a player that always played his best when his best was needed. You know, even the games against Olympiacos, I never really felt pressure because I didn't grow up into the rivalry that way. Of course, I understood it and I was a part of it, but I didn't grow up into it. So the pressure was a little bit different for me. So I was able to excel in those games because I love those hostile environments. Even, you know, growing up in Long Beach, California, I played in a high school that was very, very hostile, very hostile. So I felt like that prepared me to play at CEF, that prepared me to play in Barcelona, Madrid, Pioneer before, you know, Partizan moved to the Stark Arena. These were very difficult gyms that, you know, were very hard to win. But for me, I felt that I always had a calmness during those type of games because of the experience that I had growing up.
It has been a kind of war to play against Olympiacos.
Oh yeah, I mean
because there is the rivalry, the eternal rivalry.
Anytime you have two teams fighting for European supremacy, the right to be #1 and champion, it's a respect level that comes from that, right? Even the players on the other side of you know, the floor, a lot of things in common, right? We love the game. We like, you know, we want to provide for family and enjoy all the gifts and perks that the game of basketball blesses you with. And then there are some things that you know, that is fine line stuff you really don't understand, but I just try to control what I can control with those two situations and never try to speak anything negatively, you know. I just try to make everything positive. So regardless of the outcome from both teams, it's a positive outcome when you go on the floor and when you get off the floor. But yeah, playing against Olympiacos was great times. You know, I felt that we challenged each other to play the best of our ability. Luckily, you know, majority of those time I was able to come out on top, but those games are very, very difficult to play. You know, it's a different energy when you're playing with Olympiacos. You walk to the store and fans are, Mike, come on, you have to win. It's a different kind of energy when those two teams meet. I'm pretty sure it's the same out there in Piraeus with their fan base telling those guys that they have to beat us. Again, you know, it's a special rivalry. Again, the history, the tradition, the fan base. You know, we have some unbelievable fans with Panathinaikos and Olympiacos. So that will last a very, very long time, and I think the rivalry will continue.
You played together with Spanoulis 4 seasons in Panathinaikos, and then you became you played against him, became opponents when Spanoulis moved to Olympiacos. But you have a strong relationship. I think that the other time that you came here, you stayed at his home.
Yeah.
Did you imagine, were you waiting that Spanoulis should become a coach?
I think for all of us, I felt that we was going to find a way to stay around the game. If coaching was the calling, then fine. If scouting was the calling, then fine. But I'm very happy that he's gotten the coaching. And actually yesterday, I went up to Peristeri to watch, the last hour of practice and got to see him coach and yell at guys and get after them and put them in the right position to be successful. I was able to talk to, a couple of players because they're going to their Final Four in Belgrade. So just try to give a little bit of advice and motivations to the players to get them a little bit of advantage for their game that they're about to play. But it was good to see him in that environment.
Following EuroLeague and European basketball and international basketball, do you see any player similar to your style? Okay, basketball is changing every day,
yeah.
But
it's very tough to say, but I do like watching Bam Adebayo with Miami. He's one guy that I really love, just because the way he defends. He can defend multiple positions. I felt that he also tries to pride himself in doing things that doesn't show up in the stat sheet, and that was my biggest accomplishment. I felt I did things that didn't show up in the stat sheet. My pick and roll defense, when I'm sitting out there hedging on a ball screen and rotating back home to my man, that doesn't show up in the stat sheet. But I prided myself in that. Communicating and anchoring the defense, again, letting, Dimitidis or Spanoulis, let them know what side the screen is coming from so they can find a way to shed the screen. all that stuff doesn't show up in a stat sheet, but I prided myself in that. Running the floor, whatever it was. Those are things that I try to look at in players. And if I see that, I'm going to say, okay, we have similarities.
Okay, basketball is changing. It's changing every day, like I mentioned before. But do you like NBA basketball today?
I do. It has its moments where you're just like, okay, this is, difficult. But, that's part of coaching. You have to figure it out. There's going to be difficult moments where your players are not playing well. Your philosophy and rules and principle on offense is not working. And you have to, as a coach, you have to go back to the drawing board and find different ways to get them to play better offensively. So, you come up with different concepts in practice, whether that's ball movement drills, off-ball movement drills, whatever it is to get their rhythm and their continuity back to where it should be. That's the beautiful job as a coach. It's difficult, but at the end of the day, it's something that you must do to get those players to play to the best of their ability.
Who is the monster of the monsters right now? Huh? Who is the monster of the monsters right now?
In the NBA?
Who is the king?
Who's the king right now? The NBA is, to me, that's Jokic. He's a two-time MVP. Might win it again this year. They won the championship last year. And if anybody is going to win an NBA championship, it has to go through Denver. And it's going to be a very difficult matchup for a lot of teams in the Western Conference because there's really no matchup for Jokic, and he knows that. And
he takes
advantage of it the right way. He goes right to his scoring spots, and he makes the defense defend him. And for me, that is a very difficult guy to guard. And even myself, when I'm watching him play, when the Raptors play the Nuggets, there are times where I sit back and ask myself, how will I guard a guy like this? Yeah. And the first thing I said when I guard Jokic, I need help. He's that difficult, but he's also smart. He has a high level IQ, and he also knows how to manipulate play calls. He knows how to manipulate the whistle from the ref. So he's a very, very, very smart player, and that's very hard to guard.
Do you agree that Boston Celtics are the clear favorite to win it all?
I wouldn't say that they're the clear-cut favorite, but they're one of the teams that can win it. I like their style of play. When they made, the changes of letting go Marcus Smart, whatever, you're trying to figure out, like, what's the play here? But the moves that they made has been phenomenal. It's worked out for them to be the #1 seed in the playoffs. They have a home court advantage all the way through the finals, so I think that's something they're going to take advantage of. But again, you still have to go through Denver regardless of what their outcome is going to be. I think Denver's going to come out of the West. I think they're going to try to defend their title. And I think that's going to be a good series, Boston and Denver.
Since you are mostly working for Eastern teams, with the exception of Houston Rockets, what's your strategic plan to play against Giannis? How do you try to stop him, or at least to guard him?
Well, number one, you have to try to stop his transition points. That's very tough. And you have to, really crowd the paint so he doesn't see driving lanes. And even though there are multiple bodies there, he still finds a way, to get to the rim or score in the paint and get to the free throw line. Second thing you probably want to do is take away his cutting baskets. He's a very good cutter off the ball. And you have to really keep your head on the swivel and know where he's at all time. So you have to, take away those couple things, the offensive rebounding, all those energy and effort and hustle points, the things that he does to outwork you. You have to find a way. And it's difficult because his motor is something that you've never seen before in a guy of his size. And he constantly is coming at you every single play, whether he's up 20 or down 20. He is constantly coming at you with this level of force. And over a course of a 48-minute game, that wears on you to the point where you don't want to get in front of him anymore or take a charge, So now you're kind of just like letting him go. And and finish. But Giannis is he's a joy to watch. He's one of my favorite players to watch, but he's also a joy to also game plan against. Because it pushes you to your limits. Not only him, but also Luka and Jokic as well. Because even LeBron James, these guys are special guys. So as a coach, you have your base foundation of your pick and roll defense and how you want to guard different things. But when those guys come in town, you have to kind of get out of your rules and principles a little bit, just because the great skill set that those players have.
Name a game that you would like to play again.
Name a game I would like to play again. I would like to play the 2000.
Regardless if you lost that game or I don't know the reason.
The 2012 semifinal against Chesapeake. And now I'm thinking about that game. The hair is standing up on my arm right now. So, and the reason why is because we're such an experienced ball club to have a 17-point lead and lose. That was very detrimental. To call a timeout and for Obradovic to draw an after timeout play, we don't even get a shot off. I think we turned the ball over. That was crazy, right? Because I felt like we were such a highly executed team, under pressure, no pressure, whatever. We didn't even get a shot off. We turned the ball over. And third, I felt that we robbed everybody in the country of Greece to see Panathinaikos and Olympiacos play in the EuroLeague final. So if I had a chance to go back
to play the semi-final game,
it'll be that game. It'll be that game.
Toughest moment?
Toughest moments. I really wouldn't say. I mean, they're toughest moments. I mean, because as basketball, you have to weather the storm with adversity, whatever. And the smartest players and the most experienced players, they know how to stay even keeled when there's difficult moments, when you lose 2-3 games in a row, when you're not playing well and your jump shot's not working or your jump hook is not working. They have a way of, of calming themselves down, going back into the gym and going right back to the basics. So for me, when I would have a bad game, I will go right back into the gym. I will make sure that my hand is behind the ball. And if it's coming off my fingertips right, mentally I was like, okay, I'm fine. I will go to the free throw line. I will do the same thing, hand placing behind the ball, making sure the ball come off my fingertips the right way. If I felt that it was coming off my fingertips the right way 5, 6, 7 times in a row when I'm making these shots, mentally I didn't have to reinvent anything else. I felt I was good. And I can live with the result at the end of the day.
Happiest moment? Most glorious, most emotional?
Just winning all the titles. There are
a lot. There are 20.
At a certain point, I kind of knew the position that I was in, and I knew the position that I was in. I was very lucky, number one, but I knew that I was fortunate because a lot of American ball players wasn't going to be fortunate enough to play 9 years with one team alone and win so many titles in that 9-year span. So I kind of knew what I was up against. So, I was always trying to be the pillar and the staple of, playing the right way, and also for other American players to look at and be like, okay, if I can just do 1% of what Mike Batiste did, I feel that I'm successful, and you feel like I've laid that foundation down. And when I talk to players that play in EuroLeague and former players that played in EuroLeague, they've always have given me unbelievable respect in terms of watching me play and opening doors for them to be successful. So that's a big honor.
Would you consider, because everybody makes mistakes in his life, but what is your biggest mistake? A bad decision that now you think that
I don't.
You had to avoid?
No, I think every decision that I made I don't look back with any regret at all. Some people might say, you left and went to Finner, that was a bad choice. But at the end of the day, this game is a business. And I made the choice, whether it was right or wrong, and I lived with it. Regardless of how the outcome happened at Finner, I was very happy to go there and play with different players. And the one thing that I took from Istanbul, it set me up for retirement life. You know, I was in a country that, okay, I didn't know a lot of people, right? I left my support system and friends that I could run to if I was vulnerable, if I was struggling, whatever. I had to find that out on my own, like in Istanbul, because I was going through struggles there. We wasn't winning. I was injured. I wasn't playing well. So, you know, I had to set myself up by myself. And it helped me a lot to cope into the life that I'm in now. So I made the right choices for everything that I've done.
Most difficult, toughest, most dirty opponent you ever faced?
Most difficult opponent?
Who made your life tough?
I would say most opponents that was difficult were the 7-foot guys that were very tall to me, or you had the stronger guys like a Skountis that was stronger than me. You know, you have your Barusis, guys that were tall, that can change a shot at the rim, and you had to shoot with more of an arc. Those things were difficult to me, but for the most part, I never really found difficulties with any opponents. I felt all the players that gave me difficulties were my teammates in practice, right? They knew every strength and weaknesses of mine. And I remember, you know, when we have those sessions of playing one-on-one with Fosi or Satsaris, it was the most difficult time for me because they knew everything that I could do with the ball. And vice versa, I knew the same thing as well. So that was difficult. And I think that's the culture that Obradovic created. He wanted practice to be more difficult than the game. So once we got into the game, I don't want to say it like this, but it was easier for us to cope with the pressure and the difficulties that any team or any defense was throwing at us. So yes, I did have difficulties with other opponents, but my most difficulties were the teammates that I was practicing against.
Who's the best teammate that you communicate with ice?
Who's the what? Communicator?
Yeah.
That'd be me and Matisse for sure. You know, in basketball, even as a coach now, I tell a lot of guys, you don't have to say one word to sell me on how good of a basketball player you can be. I will just watch your habits and your work ethic. But for me and Matisse, we just had a different relationship when it came to pick and roll. There was things that he would see that he had with the ball, and there was things that I would see when I would set the screen and I would roll into the paint. Whether nobody's there, you can throw the lob or the pocket pass, or if the weak side tries to take away the lob, the corner is open. So we was always in communication of how to pick apart the defense. And sometimes it was difficult because a team would have a coverage or a scheme to take certain things away, and we constantly have to play you know, another way until we can get them out of that coverage and that scheme, and then we can go back to playing our pick and roll game, what we do best.
Is something you miss in your career, something you would like badly but you didn't accomplish?
Wow, that's a good.
You won so many titles, so it's like not a matter of title. You don't miss EuroLeague or whatever, but.
No, honestly, I don't. You know, the one thing I feel that I'm blessed with, you know, when I look back on my career and all the injuries, I'm like, I did it my way without any regret. Every basketball player is not going to have that situation when they retire. It's going to be tough. Guys are going to retire. They're going to look back at their career and I should have did this. I could have did this. And it's going to eat with them a little bit because you know this game only lasts for a certain amount of time. And when it's over, you want to look back and feel rewarded for the times you played with hurt knees or an ankle or a hamstring or any kind of situation like that. It was all worth it.
I have 3 more questions. The one is, name a player that you would like to play together to become teammates, but for several reasons, it did happen.
I felt like, man, I was blessed to play with the players that I want. Even, you know, in 2005, my first Final Four, I sat back and watched that final. And during that final, I was like, man, I wish I can play with Skountis. You see him throwing lobs to Maceo Bass, and it's like, to have that with Matisse, like, that'd be a great addition. But it was such a far-fetched, and it's from the reality and the future. You didn't know that that was going to shape out in the next few years. And of course, when you hear the rumors of us going after him, I remember I was sitting on a training table with the trainer, Ikis, and when it was confirmed that he was coming here, in my mind, I was like, wow, this is like a surreal moment in a way, because I watched him win the Final Four. I was like, it'd be nice to play with him. And now he's really about to be in my locker room. So that was a moment I was like, okay, a guy I wanted to play with, and then I actually ended up playing with him.
I have a scenario. They're missing 5 seconds, 20 game, and you are 2 points behind. And you have all your teammates, the players you used to play together. And you have the ball from the baseline, and you have one option. Select a player.
That's going to be Matisse, man. I mean, why not? I mean, it's always been proven. He's hit big-time shots in his career, under pressure, timely shots. And I can still remember, I think it was 2012 when he made the buzzer beater shot in Malaga, right? We drew up a play for him, and he made the shot. He was the one that we trusted.
It has been viral.
To win it or to lose it, and he knew that. So when that time came, I felt that he wanted that moment, and everybody trusted him. And that's why he had the confidence in those moments to win it or to lose it.
Last question. Have you imagined yourself out of basketball? Let's say that basketball didn't exist. What you should be in your life?
Probably.
What would you like to become?
Probably a mechanic.
Yeah.
You know, my dad had a mechanic shop, again, right down the street from the Great Western Forum. It's now diagonal from the Intuit Dome, where the Clippers are about to play at now. Watching my dad start his business in the backyard of our house with people around the neighborhood bringing their cars in, whether it's for oil change or to fix a dent. It was, for me as a young kid, it's like it was the greatest thing to watch in the world. It's like putting Legos together, but you're doing it in a real form of a real car. So I got to see my dad do some unbelievable things and put smile on people's faces because, you know, he fixed their car and it's running new. So those things I probably would take after, because I always felt I've been good with my hands. And even like at home, like in the off season, I'm trying to find something to fix, like inside the house or whatever. If there's something I need to do with my truck at home, whether, you know, I'm doing my own oil change, whatever, I'm trying to do something of my own, because that's how, you know, I was taught. That was my demonstration, like, you know, from my dad. You know, you honor something, you love it, and you work as hard as you can from that. I mean, that's the one thing that I've taken from him. So from my own craft and basketball, I just loved it, and I worked as hard as I could, and, you know, I made something good out of it. I'm very proud of that.
I'm sorry for that, but you offer me a temptation. I mentioned that might be the last question, but I have another one. Okay. Since you mentioned it. Here we have, in this wonderful place in tracenchase, so many memorabilia, so many jerseys. Choose one. Choose one? Yeah.
That'll be Magic Johnson right there. Yeah, that was my idol. That was my role model. But he was a hero for a lot of us in the inner city of LA and Long Beach. Again, you know, when you're inflicted by violence and negative things that you're seeing, he was the positive structure to look after and go after. You saw his smile, it was contagious. You saw the way that he won, it was contagious. So I felt that when I picked up a basketball, I felt that being raised by the Lakers, like I had to leave a legacy behind, whether that was with Panathinaikos or any other team. I had to leave a legacy behind just because I felt I was raised by those greats of Magic Johnson, Kareem, Byron Scott, and Michael Cooper. So It's a good story.
It's over.
Yeah.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ, Μιχάλη.
Yeah, anytime. Ευχαριστώ. Thank you for having me.
Λοιπόν, αυτό ήταν ένα show, ένα από τα ωραιότερα show, πιθανότατα το ωραιότερο show εδώ στο tracenchase, αποκαλυπτικός, εκβαθέων, Μιχάλης Βατίστας, Mike Batiste, ένας άνθρωπος που μας σημάδεψε το ελληνικό μπάσκετ, σημάδεψε ένα σύλλογο πρώτα απ' όλα, ένα κλαμπ, το Παναθηναϊκό, σημάδεψε μια μεγάλη, μακρά εποχή του ελληνικού μπάσκετ και του ευρωπαϊκού μπάσκετ και πάντοτε είναι ευχάριστο να κουβεντιάζει κάποιος μαζί του και κυρίως να συνειδητοποιεί κάθε φορά πόσο περισσότερο κάθε φορά αγαπά την Ελλάδα και τη ζωή που έζησε εδώ. Ραντεβού στο επόμενο επεισόδιο του show από το tracenchase. Να είστε καλά.